Hello everybody and welcome to Tiny Bunny. I know absolutely nothing about this game except it's supposed to be scary. So let's get into this. What is this? This music. What is this? Music. Oh my gosh. What am I looking at? The wind clawed at my window all night long. Is that what these are for? I wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, dwindled in the air. They were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket glazed back where its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves. There was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Oh, is that a fox? I didn't see that. There's like a wolf or a fox there. Wow. This looks nice. Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Like how slouched you are. Well, fine then. Hide. I didn't protest and put the book about Kanon the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Ola had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic, she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere unless you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make this porridge disappear. Hazy, anxious, welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy, white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Cousteau Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is, or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with the cold glare from her green eyes. What did I say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this carved in on the other side of the table? Karina. Hey, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. Sure, she was a rascal damaging the furniture like that. The music is kicking up. Oh my gosh. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No. She made it a bit of a bad mood. She's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was my mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagine my grandma coming in to my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Ola sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smoothing voice. Taiga is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you onto the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket. She called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the side. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. Glass covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Ola was done with her cookies and was looking at my share with a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze towards the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. It's the wolf. Ola, look! It's a fox! Where? It almost looks like those optical illusion things they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a bit and look under a certain angle... No, outside, not outside, on the window. Look, here's the nose and here's... Hey, eat up! Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is! But it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you it does. Nuh-uh. It does. Stop it, these kids, I swear. Now, I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty pattern similar to stretched out needle leaves kept creeping up on the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. It's Google Chad! I want to have a beard like him when I grow up. Mom would always ask, jokingly, come on, shave it off, it stings. This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Ola always covers her ears when she hears something like, what's the point of all this? Through the wall. It's all for your sake, Dad would reply, for the sake of our family. I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. D-I-V-D? I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk Oh, that's the dad. You and your owl talk again? You said you believed me just yesterday. Has anybody seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did, and maybe not. You're a grown man, a father of 2, and still? Kariana, please stop. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Thank you very much. Anton, stop making matter out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl. There was no owl. But there was one. It had a giant glowing eyes. Oila sprung up from her chair, placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers, the size from an apple each. Last year you had a Barbie in your closet, and now this owl? But I saw it! Oila shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's little. Oila pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he had just found. A minute had passed and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on incredible worn-out cassette tape, which Dad already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together. For example, but how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved into the living room and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances out the window. Aloya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn, curl up in a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take our mind off the troubles we had with the move and our parents. What? And then Aloya said she saw the giant flying monster outside her window. What the heck is that? She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Oila refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Last night I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of the new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids, but the students behind their desk were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped into the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside these holes. It was as if some completely different creature were looking at me from behind the blank black silhouettes. Their cruel glares filled with icy sneers made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, stomp me with their blooded shoes? This school can burn for all I care. I just wished for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who were just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me who worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore make me an outsider of some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Ola begged me to hang them. Drawings was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings. They promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You're on the wrong number. Dr. Anton is not around. Anton is not around." I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. This is interesting to watch. I know I haven't said anything for a while. I'm trying to let the story develop. This is interesting. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with the TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Is that creaking in the game? That is messing with me. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet webs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family, with their ashamed eyes, were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaky. Rusty drains were moaning. The attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was in fact hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in the sound with the sound of the wind of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Oh, it's so laggy. What? I'm moving my mouth. Okay. Open. Whoa, that's cool. Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out, with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around in the moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around, and crawled on all fours. Stories about werewolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. I like this animation. It's like all sort of, I don't, what are some of those? It's like bear, some weird, whoa. Shadows dancing on the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Lag! Suddenly, the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, I could swear, piercing me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted. I'm so bad at reading. Parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant legs. Whoa. Oh wow, that was great! The lag! They glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the thick, pitch black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around, like the bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the night, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with a blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remember the funeral, my grandma laying there, hands crossed on her chest, the facial features sharp like that of a tin doll, ants running up and down her legs, the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagine those little critters climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. What? I was chanting the spell she taught me through the whole procedure. What? And now, lying under the blanket, I listened to the squeaks and howls. I was repeating the same words. On the island of Boyan, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stand a cabinet made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair, for the spawn from devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone. God's faithful servant named Anton, evil leave this house must. Ashes and ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like hangmen. And then the night doused around me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly crawling at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intensely as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the floor with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then the doorknob twitched slightly. It turned halfway once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more and then started clicking violently. Oh my gosh. My jaw cramped from fear. My fingers wet. Oh, my wet fingers clenched the blanket. The door cracked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Oh my gosh. Oh, the music is not helping. Now you'll see. What? The door was wide open. The darkness withered inside the cavernous mouth of a doorway. Tony! It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaked with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung from the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony! Tony! My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. I'd just like to ask, before we continue, is this a game or am I just reading a story? But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tony, you asleep? Oh my gosh! Oh, they got me! My heart dropped, and then I saw my sister's pale face protrude from thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Ola, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Ola frowned and stuck her lonely lips, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony. Please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I just needed to calm Ola down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Ola sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have a scary bird? The question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing... What? What studied me with its eyes while dancing firstly under the moon? The darkness was climbing to my window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, just a moment. Oh my gosh! What was that? You can't do that! You can't do the... Oh my gosh! You can't do that! Oh my gosh! I am sweating! How long... Oh my gosh! I have not been that scared in a long time. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. This is why I don't laugh at Ola and to Owl in the morning. How do you continue after that? My heart rate, oh my gosh. Who could be visiting us here, in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a sly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Ola always hides. Tony, come here. I felt the kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them towards the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like forest and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars. Worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name was Vova? Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held a photograph to me. Oh, it's a cat. There was a ginger boy. No, we can't lose another one! The age of elementary school. Pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in the hands and wore a smile. We can't lose another ginger. There's already not enough of us. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window. That's right, your window looks straight into the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He sounded tired, but with his eyes. His stare, long and heavy, was full of suspension. I swimmered unwittingly under the weight of the guilt, which his glance shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything's alright, thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles. Ha! Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this summer. Wanted to help other people just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home, steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Ah, well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy? What grade are you in, Tony boy? 6. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break. Ah, then I'll leave you my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of a smiling boy. This is strange, the continuous repetition of shadows in this. Everything is, I reach down into the shadows in the corners, engulfed in the shadows of night. Shadows are a common theme in everything. Even this doesn't make sense. Why would you leave with your shadow? Like, I get it, that's a different way of saying leaving, but why specify the shadows that are leaving with you? His face still stood before my eyes. I wonder what it was like for him being all alone. There. For some reason, I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and trash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually? Mom and Vova, did he go missing in our forest? What? Hang on, what was that? Oh, I guess. Okay. She said something. I looked out the window, at the road. The police UAZ drove off towards the village. The officer's nephew came to mind. I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remember all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen footprints that led to the forest, and then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and I'll get a reward. Ola would be so happy. Not only Ola, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasize about buying Ola a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time. There's that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was the counted job like. They count money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us, but nowadays Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets. And Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Ola. Sometimes I gave her my share too. That's sad. Oh my gosh. What is this game? No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. I'm going outside. Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals? Or something even worse? Even worse. Echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Do you hear what I said? Or should I repeat myself? Better go pack your school bag or play with Ola. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. That does not sound like splashing water. Or at least that first part. I guess maybe a sink breaking. It meant the argument was over and Mom had the last word. Oh! Okay, so Mom told us not to go outside, so I won't go to the... Finally, a decision. Mom told us not to go outside, so I won't go there. Heard something in the kitchen. And there's this here. Oh, sure, what's in here? The dark, stiffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. And Ola can't even be lured close by it. She thinks Babai is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on a dim lamp so she would see. There's nothing but cobwebs, dead tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I like to hide in the closet and listen to Ola count outside. 1, 2, 3, better hide from me. And then drag her feet on the crackling floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. Okay, I'll go to the kitchen, I guess. I'm gonna open that. Well, I was just not eating earlier, so I guess I'll go to the front yard. Anton! I'll whip you if you... I'll whip you if you make a single step out that door. What do I do? Anton! Get out of that closet immediately! Okay. What do I do? Open. Grandma kept ice cream for me and Ola there, but how could I only see meat bits of soup and clumped together pelemi? I grew to hate them already. Well, what do I do? What do you want me to do? Where do I do? I need to distract Mom somehow or I'll get scolded. And I'll get whipped with my dad's leather belt. How do I distract her? How do I distract Mom? Can I look outside? No. It's difficult for me to lie to Mom, but there's no other way for me to run away from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there are stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. Ah, you're killing me here. So have you had enough of shouting those stupid ducks now? What? Told you the kaleidoscope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just Maybe it's just the settings. Please go see for yourself. Strange, it worked fine this morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean from her apron and went to Ola's room. Now we go. I opened the front gate and went into the field. Carefully soon, Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance towards the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head, all on its own. That's the light of day. Those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there. Distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent I felt the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Ola. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest pink stockade. Sometimes the silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Ola turned to stone listening to them. But then, always, came the ringing silence. Our apartments became numb a couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was a previous life. When they kissed with Ola present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if the fire broke up and our parents were hurriedly packaging our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who though? From the people with dead cold eyes who sometimes visited our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything. And somewhere far away a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shrugged, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There was only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the thin ice. There's a glove! Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. Already saw it, my guy. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow. When I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. Wow. Knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering Sendamart. Should I take it to the police? The senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Canova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Brooklyn Lights. He was also anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Was this mitten help? Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Vova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally behind the ground. It's blackness. There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree, disappearing from my sight. I looked away for a moment, but then I turned my gaze to the same place. It was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence regained for a painfully long time. Yeah, so this is the mitten. Something moved to like the left. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd spring it. But nothing of the sort happened. I look at the mitten once more. We gotta take the mitten. Ain't nothing there, ain't nothing there. Just take it, my guy. Just take it, there ain't nothing there. I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. Oh, don't do it. Nope, I wouldn't. Nope. Over. A shout rumbled across the fields and dissolved in the distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. I stepped towards the brusty trees and tried to claim my find. I didn't budge. I pulled harder. The branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy. Wet. I squeezed it without thinking and something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mittens and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. Is it blood? Is it blood? I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. The sound of crackling branches invaded the silence. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll be dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reasons. I gave it my strength, spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud, my ears went numb. I felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry bees rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in the freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. A snowy clearing became viscous like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my legs from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my legs was now gone. My boots slipped out from the holes and my soles were on the hard surface again. I reached a clear path from one jump and from there ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and... My cat's staring at me right now. That flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. And in all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paw, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was so much louder than my surroundings. The music is so loud, I could hear whenever someone was following or not. What if they were already in the front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled the doorknob and it obediently gave away. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My finger slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth, pulling hard on the iron knob. winding it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you to never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone, and the breath was too. If there was something in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with it the last bit of strength I had left in my body too. My legs gave away. I propped myself against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mark of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before, all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants blistered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel, her voice ringing out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you stash them? Were you smoking in secret? There was something chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started to explain myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned forward and sniffed my clothes like a beast searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant and she covered her mouth with her hand. Look, over there at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I had become prey once again and my pursuers were following me into the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratching at the door just like my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in the snow through the icy winter patterns of the glass. Dogs, just as a small pack of strays with no name and owner, barely reminding of a hungry monster that lived at the edge of the forest. Oh boy, were you scared of them. I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me, like a bunny. And what if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them. What if they attack Ola? Mom! I wish your dad could have just shot them all. Mom, look, they're alive! Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. My mom sighed in annoyance. I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze with the cobweb-ridden corner. Welp, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my hands among a pack of stupid strays. And what for? What use do I have for all of this? Mitten? Of course! A dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present the clue to Mom. Mom, look, this is Vova's mitten. That boy the police were asking about in the morning. It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on a tree. I can show where. Let's call the police right away, like the officer had told us to. Mom, look. Ew! Shadow of doubt slowly crept onto Mom's controlled face, another shadow. As if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dreams, but the image slips away. Stop it this moment! Ola will go insane if she hears you. She's already had trouble sleeping and whines all the time. Are you a joke around like Are you gonna joke around like this? At that moment I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy, who cried Wolf. Oh, don't just stand there, come take your pills. A golden-colored pill reminiscent of a dead wasp fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk me over this. I told you to stay home, and you, Dad, would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep at night. And you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medicine, taking it down with merely awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Pills. Interesting. Why would he need pills? Is he have mental disorders? Maybe it wasn't Vova's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters and Ola's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect or my overextended brain didn't let the fear inside anymore. Sincerity washed over me, bringing yawning indifference along with it. Anton, you're done. See? You can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you asleep? No, Mom. I was just thinking. What about? I wonder. It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything alright? You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm alright, Mom. She gave a deep sigh. Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs felt different, thinner and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Ola was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to her other tapes. Yang is throwing a fit. I gotta let him out. Yeah, but I'm gonna... I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs. Jafar and Lago's voices died down. I walked past Ola's bedroom and slipped into my own. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten in there. The simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat on the bed. And then I noticed there was something behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to comfort, as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of... Oh, the room began to contort. Oh, much different, as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The room's corners bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like a savant of sorts. Ola? Who else would be standing there? I stood and licked my dried lips. Yeah, Ola, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached out towards the curtains. Badum, badum. Oh, hang on. That was terrible. My heartbeat Controlled by my medication. The wind sang in the field from the chorus of voices. For a second I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtains, knowing full well they were looking at me. They were looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled around the holder when I pulled open the curtains. Gotcha! Knew it. I was not gonna fall for that. I knew it was you from the beginning. I blindingly brought halo lit up above Ola's head, with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. She was just a baby, Dad always used to say when she was shining with happiness. I was always retorted, but Dad, she's not the same flashlight. She's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day, and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a child unwoven from light. I saw everything. Oh, really? What did you hide? She was just like my mom when she was little, but before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice. It's nothing, just... Ola ran up to the table, her eyes round, and asked, "You stole something and hid it there. Are you a thief?" What? Don't be stupid. I didn't steal anything. A clear image came to mind, that mitten hanging from the tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure standing behind the black trees. Ola could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted. Then show me. I swear that you won't tell anyone, then I'll show you. Ola wore a plotting smile. I swear on Mom's heart. An oath she heard in one movie about the pioneers we've watched. Don't say things like that. Ola nodded and made a gesture with her hand, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Ola leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic critter. Is this someone's mitten? She said, as if she couldn't understand what she saw. A certain boy lost it, and got lost himself. Now, you do understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander into the forest, right? Oh, he must be really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house showing his photo to everybody. Ola traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. Yeah, right, flashed in my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where darkness, cold, and whispers of icy branches dwell? If that's the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later for me? I changed the topic, as if trying to get Ola as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if I go and find this boy by myself. A lot of stuff like in Field of Wonders. Sounds cool, right? Ola wasn't listening to me. She was piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense! An owl won't be able to lift a human. But you know what? I was picking my words with the utmost care. I forced them out of my overextended brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's... How should I put this? It's cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, not like that. More like that spooky type Mom and Dad are hiding from us. Olivia shivered and stole a glance at the window. I saw you running away. Someone was chasing you. No, it's just, I was hurrying back home so Mom wouldn't be worried. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind, and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom wouldn't even let me go outside. I'm like a princess in her tower. Can't go anywhere. I'll die from boredom here. You're wrong. No one has ever died of boredom. And you have me and your cartoons. And Mom and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what? I would wish for on my next birthday? I'd wish for Mom and Dad to turn to children so we could go play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you'd make them as small as bugs, we could place them into a little box. Olivia giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tony, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue won over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired. I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone and Mom is always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all of our tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And how much happens after that? Let's go. Maybe a little later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow. I know. Let's play hide and seek. No, Ola. Then draw me a dino. Ola, please. Draw it. Will you leave me alone already? I blurted it out, without thinking, and I was immediately taken aback. I'd never screamed at my little sister like that. Ola stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling. I persecuted her to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Ola from crying. Alright, you win. Let's go watch some cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her, put my hands on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Boo! You'll fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. I promise I won't. And I'll draw you a full Triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops. I will say, I do like some of the dialogue here. Very nice. Sometimes you forget this is a horror game. Well, close enough. Ola rubbed her eyes with her sleeve on her pajamas, and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread, and you rewind the tape. Our bread is fresh, just like how you like it. Alright, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll be yelled at again. Wanna bet? I won't spill it. The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Ola disappeared into the doorway, and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner, and all that was left was clicking the button on the front panel. The tube warmed up with the familiar white noise, started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to it on the VCR, when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. What? It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech was coming out the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rogue signal? Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently, I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch this channel again? On the other hand, Ola had asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her. But in my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it. Yeah. Oh, we skipped that. I found the tape I needed. Thanks to its shabby spine. I got the black rectangle from its box. VHS tape, such a throwback. The tape inside it rustled while rewinding to the beginning. This rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I was squinting before the TV. Images rolled in my head, me and Olivia flying above the forest, tumbling in the soft clouds. My little sister is laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I notice that the clouds underneath us part, bringing the bristly pine tops. Oh, I'm starting to actually feel for some of these characters. No. I'm at the point now, I don't want anything to happen to Lola. Swampy darkness slurped among the trees, the wings no longer able to hold us. And Ola. You haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes. No, come on, sit. Mom and Dad are arguing again. They're going through rough times. Rough times are lame. P and the screen. Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow into the dresser. Ola was entertained by the cartoon's coonish dog, Nana. Maybe Mom and Dad will buy us a dog, too. Yeah, right. I'll have my own dog in Neverland, and a cat, and a parrot. Ola smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me. Have you lost all your baby teeth? Obviously. Ola frowned, deep in thought. Peter Pan has baby teeth. What if they won't let you go to his land with adult teeth? We'll think of something. Well, ask Dad to alter your age in the passport. That's illegal! No, you can't do that! You can't just change your name and your age in a passport. Why would Dad forge documents? Ola took a bite from the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full. I heard Mom did before. You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo's. Ola got worried and touched her ears. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watching the adventures of Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and James Hook, as if she got snuck into the fairy tale Netherland. To be honest, I also imagined myself there. Land where no one ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to... I just realized this is so dark right now, like in my room. Argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sounds of broken plates at night. It felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open, that my sister's scream pulled me back to reality. Tony! Shut the curtains fast! Why? No one's watching you. It's the dark. When it's dark, the owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. I did my best not to take a look outside, towards the treetops, towards the taiga forests, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from shadows of branches scraping the snow. Tony, Mom thinks I made the owl up. And Dad, too, thinks I'm a liar since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly, it does. You believe me, right? That it comes every night and I swiftly grabbed Olivia's hand. Oh no, not Olivia's, Ola's hand, and looked her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination, but did I really have those qualities? Yes, I believe you, alright? Yeah, something weird I noticed earlier is we thought we were crazy because we thought the person chasing us was in our imagination, but Ola said she saw the person. So now I don't know what's real or not. Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot, so they'll get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens, and don't look out the window. But it wants me to look. Doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed. Like it's made up, just like Mom and Dad say. I'll get tired of waiting and fly away. Interesting. It was madness, but after everything that's happened recently, I was more and more inclined to believe Ola's owls existed. Don't scare me. Where's Ola? We followed Peter Pan's adventure as if nothing happened, as if the forest didn't kidnap kids, as if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from the crocodile, and Peter Pan had headed to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my sister. Ola's eyelids had dropped. She started snoring lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood up and left Ola's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field, when Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It's your first day at school tomorrow. Go to bed. You should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Adults think everything is so simple, as if sound sleep would ensure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me to do. I want to hear that mysterious flute again. Yes or no? Maybe I thought it was an option. I thought I was about to pick. Maybe it's just a part of growing up and I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Soon, ethereal eternity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The winds howled on and on in the night. My thoughts were among flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. Don't jump scare me. Okay. Thank you for completing episode 1 of Tiny Bunny. Did you enjoy it? Did you want to see what happens next? We're already working hard on continuing the story. That was it? What? No way that was it. Okay. That overall was an amazing game. I enjoyed that. And if I can find the episode 2, I will. If this video does well, even if I'm not monetized right now, but if this video does well, or series, I don't know how many parts this is going to be. If it goes well, I will buy the second episode if it's out, because that was amazing. Within that small amount of time, I fell into this world. It had creepiness, scariness, and amazing connection to the characters. By the end there, I was really feeling for not only Tony or not only Anton, but especially Lola. Lola? I don't know how to pronounce her name. It was really interesting and good experience. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That part right there is free. The game is called Tiny Bunny. Prologue is the name of it. And I guess you watched it, so you know some of this, but I would highly recommend you go out and try playing the game for yourself, or at least giving some support to this. Again, I'll try to do a second episode, but that was really good. I really enjoyed myself. I've not felt like that in a long time. So thank you for watching. Subscribe, do all that other stuff. If you want to see part 2, put it in the comments below so I know. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.